Good afternoon. I am Christina with the Employee Service Agency, the division of the county that manages employee recruitment and human resources. Today, we are delighted to host the Division of Equity and Social Justice for our live speaker series. If you have any questions during the session, feel free to drop them in the chat and our team will be glad to answer them. This webinar will be recorded so you can go back and watch it again. It is my honor to introduce our panelists today. Joining us, we have Julie Ramirez, Program Manager 3 of Division of Equity and Social Justice, Sarah Fernando, Manager of Office of LGBTQ Affairs, and Ricardo Romero, Program Manager 3 of Language Access Unit. Let's have them introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julie, pronouns she, her, and Aya. And I've had the pleasure of working with the county for 11 years. I look forward to sharing more about our department with you and our daily activities.
Hey folks, my name is Sarah. I use she, her pronouns, and I lead and manage the Santa Clara Office of LGBTQ Affairs. I'm with the county a little over 3 years now, and I'm just so happy and delighted. I just love seeing the reactions on a Monday morning, so keep those reactions up because we love to see it. Thank y'all for joining us today.
Hola, buenas tardes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ricardo Romero Morales. I am the Program Manager 3 within the Language Access Unit and also one of the 3 program managers within the Division of Equity and Social Justice. I've been with the county since 2013, so I'm almost getting there to the 10-year mark. And it is a pleasure to be here, and I'm happy to be here to answer any of your questions.
Amazing. Thank you, everyone, for your introductions. We are excited to have you here with us. We want to learn more about your departments and teams you are working with. So we're going to do a little questions here. Could you share with us some information about Division of Equity and Social Justice, Julie, and some of the communities and programs you support?
Of course, the Division of Equity and Social Justice, also known as DESJ, is a department within the county executive's office. We work to address the most pressing social issues facing our communities. We provide policy analysis, subject matter expertise, and training across a wide breadth of issues impacting the most marginalized communities here in Santa Clara County. But we do this in partnership with community, with commissions, with other governmental agencies to address the root causes and to really promote and strengthen equity and social justice in and within our systems. DESJ consists of several offices focusing on advancing equity in government related to children, women, girls, our LGBTQ community, workers, immigrants, individuals with limited English proficiency, individuals with disabilities, our Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and those who are targets of hate and violence. We believe that as a government, we should incorporate diversity, equity, and belonging into all aspects of our work to improve outcomes for all. And from a personal standpoint, I love my job. It fulfills my personal mission of public service, and I get to work with like-minded people who are smart and creative and dedicated to uplifting the strengths of our community. So I'm really, really happy to be here and share more.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Julie. Next, Sarah, could you please give us an overview of the Office of LGBTQ and how your office is related to other divisions? Maybe give us a little history, the programs, and what the day-to-day operations look like there.
Yeah, I would love to. So in terms of our office didn't open up until 2016. So we're not necessarily a new office, but the creation of our office came from a 2013 LGBTQ status of health report. And through former Supervisor Ken Yeager back in 2014, through the report, we were able to recommend and create the Office of LGBTQ Affairs. And what's great about that research project back in 2013 is that it really speaks to our office today, where our office takes community feedback. We take the voices of LGBTQ community members, for instance, and we use that information to create new policies, new programs, and in our case, back in 2016, an Office of LGBTQ Affairs. Some of the cool programs that we have currently going on is building more inclusive workplace LGBTQ workplace training that's available this year, starting this year in July, available to all small businesses, county employees, community-based organizations, nonprofits. So organizations have the ability to take courses on LGBTQ cultural competency. We also have programs such as our LGBTQ older adults Rainbow Collective by Avenidas, as well as more socialization efforts such as a volunteer registry through Turnout. And all this is based on a lot of the reports that are available. So if you folks haven't had to check out our office, you could do so by following us on our social or easily visiting our website. I'll provide a link in the chat, or I think the chat. We'll provide all the links available after this call. But if you really want to check us out, we're always in community. Again, we like sharing the work that we do. And Silicon Valley Pride that's happening this month on August 26th and 27th will provide our office, as well as the Division of Equity and Social Justice, the opportunity to reach out to y'all. So there's a lot of instances where you'll see my colleagues at the division, as well as other offices, as including our office, to be able to speak with us, let us know what resources that you're needing, programs that you're looking for, and also participate in research, because this 2023-2024, we will be having a LGBTQ status of health report that's upcoming. So always opportunities to participate. But again, we stand with community, and we're here to support the LGBTQ community and all the intersectional identities across all the offices that we work with.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Next, Ricardo, could you tell us about the Language Access Unit, the specific populations you serve, what you enjoy about working, and what current openings you guys have?
Of course, let me start off by talking about our goal in the Language Access Unit, which is to connect, provide, and promote high quality and culturally appropriate language services to the County of Santa Clara's departments and agencies. And this is to ensure that language access and equitable services for linguistically diverse communities are provided within the county. We understand the importance of effective communication and access to critical services for all residents, regardless of their language abilities. Internally in our team, we have translators and interpreters who speak the most commonly used languages in the county. And those include Spanish, Chinese, Vietnamese, Chinese, and Tagalog. For languages and services that we don't offer in-house, we partner up with various vendors who offer more than 200 different languages. So in addition to all that work that we do internally, we also focus on educating the county departments and agencies about the latest language access policies at the federal, state, and local levels. With that, what we do is we try to collaborate with the county departments and agencies to serve various populations, including those who primarily speak languages other than English and are limited in their English proficiency. Also, deaf and hard of hearing individuals who need a sign language interpreter, as well as non-English speaking immigrants and refugees, as well as those who visit our county, such as tourists, visitors with language barriers, and individuals with cognitive or developmental disabilities who require language support. And then when you ask me about what I really enjoy working in the county, well, let me tell you, working in the Language Access Unit is deeply rewarding for several reasons. To start off, we have a direct impact on breaking language barriers and promoting equitable access to public services for diverse communities, helping them navigate the complex system with ease and understanding. In addition to that, we also foster a collaborative and inclusive work environment, working closely with various county departments and community organizations and interpreters, translators to create a seamless language access infrastructure. All of that, just to say that also just being exposed to different cultures, different languages, enriches us at a personal level and at a professional level as well, helping us grow, enhancing our understanding of the county's diversity and promoting cultural competency.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Ricardo. We have received a lot of good questions from the registration, and we're hoping to get them answered by our speakers today. So we're going to jump into the Q&A where we're going to answer your guys' questions next. Our first question is going to be for Julie. How does the department recruit for equity?
Sure. So we believe that a diverse workforce is a stronger workforce, and research supports this. But why is that? And it's because folks of the community understand what our communities need. And that's our ultimate goal as a county, providing for the dynamic needs of our community. So here are some strategies that we use to recruit for equity. We share our job postings with our community partners who have that lived experience and advocacy on behalf of the populations I described earlier. We make sure that the language on the posting strikes an inclusive tone so that it doesn't favor one group or another, but rather it attracts a wider audience. And we recognize that the experience differs from one individual to another. And many times that's for circumstances beyond their control. Not everyone has access to the same resources, so requiring candidates to fit a narrow list of criteria might eliminate applicants of color, for example. We take into account all forms of related experience, whether it be volunteer, paid, not paid. We want to know and understand the experiences of those applicants, and we value them. We also use hiring panels during the interview process, and we make sure that our hiring panels are diverse as well. This way, we can leverage the varied experiences that they have and their perspectives as well. Overall, I would say we value lived experience and diversity, and our hiring practices really reflect that.
Thank you so much for sharing. Our next question is going to be for Sarah. Are there positions or grant opportunities that allow creatives to engage the community in dialogue and education around social justice issues, particularly women's and LGBTQ storytelling?
Yeah, when I saw that question, I thought that was a phenomenal question. And I love the storytelling piece when it comes to the work that we do. As for positions, with our office, we have an amazing communications team that we work with. So our communication outreach specialist, who I'll say used to work for the Office of LGBTQ Affairs. So if you look at our Office of LGBTQ Affairs' Instagram handle or Facebook or even YouTube, we're on YouTube, you'll see a lot of the creativity that's out there. And we like telling the story and the narratives and celebrating the LGBTQ community. We do a lot of celebration posts with our Instagram, and we do our best to uplift a lot of the stories that are out there. But in terms of grant opportunities, through research, there's a lot of opportunities for folks to be able to submit proposals for the open opportunities that are available. And there's one in particular that I'd love to share because it ties in with trans employment. A couple of years back in 2020, so maybe a little bit more than a couple of years, we did a transgender, non-binary, and gender expansive employment survey that captures all the experiences of trans folks in the workforce here in the South Bay. And what we found was that there's not a lot of promotion when it comes to trans success stories. And that weaves into the storytelling piece where we're thinking we should really, if we want to be cutting edge and advocate for trans and non-binary inclusion and acceptance in the workplace, then what we found within the recommendations from that report is for us to create a program for transgender employment success stories. So later this year, you'll see some of that effort with a campaign that we're running on transgender employment success stories. I can't share too much because right now it's in the development phase. But what we want to do is share the narrative of like success stories of people being successful in the workplace that are of trans and gender nonconforming experience. We also have our LGBTQ summit that's coming up in October, where we do a lot of storytelling pieces. So we do like a in your own words or in their own words kind of experiences panel, where people use their storytelling to not only tell their lived expertise, but also where our office comes in is that we take that lived experience, and not only do we share that experience on our YouTube channel and our Instagram and social media, but we do our best to be able to capture that information, that data, as part of the research piece with the Division of Equity and Social Justice. I also want to uplift because we're a very highly collaborative division. So back when Julie was running the Office of Women's Policy, there was a womanhood project that myself and so many different women across all intersecting identities were a part of. And artistically, we were able to connect with folks of intersecting identities that are artists in the community to do these wonderful banners in a project called Womanhood that I was so lucky to be part of. So I don't know if Julie wants to talk a little bit about that, but that was just like a really cool piece to be able to campaign not only for women, but LGBTQ community members, and identify the intersectionality that comes across all our stories and uplift that in terms of like art, which I love. So there's a lot of opportunities to use creative talents, both in kind of like a grants piece as well as in a position here at the division.
That's awesome. Julie, did you want to touch on that?
Of course. Thank you for uplifting that, Sarah. That was such a cool project, probably one of the coolest ones that I worked on throughout my decade plus time here at the county. The purpose of Womanhood was to really share the contributions that women have made in building Silicon Valley, and actually predating Silicon Valley, back when ag was the primary sector that we had here. And through storytelling and other artistic measures, we were able to uplift the stories of individuals who contributed to our community very successfully, but who are often either ignored or whose stories are just not known for various reasons. And the Womanhood Project is able to share those stories with our current community, because if these words are borrowed from Supervisor Chavez. If you can't see it, you can't be it. And we're so proud of the contributions that women have made to Santa Clara County. And this was one way where we were able to share those contributions with everyone.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to check that out. That seems very interesting. Thank you for sharing. Our next question is for Ricardo. We got a lot of questions on career opportunities within the department. Could you tell us a little bit about the available positions at DESJ and what new hires can expect during orientation?
Of course, and thank you for the question. So when it comes to hiring, we constantly have new opportunities that are coming out, whether it is that we are able to create new positions, or whether we have a vacancy because somebody may have a new opportunity even within DSJ. So there are opportunities internal for internal staff, as well for any external community partners or community members who want to apply. With regards to the language access unit, we're currently going to be hiring for Spanish interpreter and translator, as well as Tagalog interpreter, translator, and associate management analyst that are going to be posting. Now, with regards to the Division of Equity and Social Justice, as you can see in our backgrounds, we actually have QR codes that you can actually use your phone, scan them, and that will take you to a website that you can see all the listings that we have. I'm sure we'll talk more about that, but just wanted to highlight that right there. And when it comes to orientation, in the division, we have our senior management analyst who gracefully has agreed to provide an orientation to new employees. And that orientation goes over the county structure. It also talks about all of the offices that we have within the Division of Equity and Social Justice, as well as putting pictures and connecting people in real time, walking them around the suite just to do a formal introduction. In addition to that, we also have the Staff Engagement Committee, who is also part of the orientation, making sure that we get to know our new employees, asking them about their preferences when it comes to birthday celebrations, how do they like to be recognized. We want to make sure that we're building an inclusive environment where everybody can thrive.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Next question is for Julie. Can you share a recent example of campaigns that address specific challenges or barriers in the community?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about our New American Fellowship. So this is through our Office of Immigrant Relations. This is a 10-week research and professional development program for 10 to 15 immigrants every summer. These immigrants have a temporary status or recent refugees experience, and they often have few opportunities to access paid and high-quality professional development internships. So this program is really filling that gap. And to date, we have worked with over 100 individuals through this program, and they continue to enrich our local community following the training that they receive here.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Next question is for Sarah. What positions do you plan to fill in 2023, 2024, and what skills and experience are you seeking?
Yeah, I kind of have like a good news, bad news kind of answer to this question. And the reason why I say that is because right now I'm currently interviewing for a couple of positions that are open here at the Office of LGBTQ Affairs. So one position is community outreach specialist, the other one is senior management analyst. And in terms of what skills and experiences that we're looking for, and some of the positions that are on the horizon, our office, even though we might seem like a big office, our individual office is only 14 members. So when it comes to myself and my 3 other colleagues, as well as opportunities for people for extra help. And, right now we have a couple folks for internships or fellowships, the government fellowship that we're involved in. Some of the experiences that we're looking for, I think the key one here is just passion and proof that you work with the LGBTQ plus community. And I think a lot of people with their lived experience, they think that's enough to be able to inform them work. But in terms of experience, what we're looking for is just like, well, I see that you work with the LGBTQ community, you might identify as LGBTQ, but what programs have you created? What initiatives have you provided? What trainings or what things were you involved in? And I think when it comes to the work that we do, if we really want to create, those projects and our programs that address, the equity issues or the social justice issues, especially in the LGBTQ community, it's really being in touch with the community. And that's why being involved in community work, just to let you know a little bit about myself, my background traditionally for most of my career was in retail management, and never in my life did I ever think that I would be in a position where I'm leading a policies and programs office. And the reason why I got there is that my former company was able to put me into their employee resource group and help inform a lot of the programs and policies and initiatives that we're looking to change. So luckily for me, I was able to be part of their executive kind of like leadership when it comes to their LGBTQ employee resource group. And with those tools, I was able to bring that back to my local community because I thought I thought it was really unfair for tech companies. And let's face it, y'all were in Silicon Valley, right? We are in a position where there's so many folks that have access to employee resource groups, but how does that address the inequities within the community? And this is where I saw like the biggest challenge. Like I see workplace challenges being addressed in, major organization, major Fortune 500 organization, but what about our local community? And that's where I was just like, you know what, tech isn't really for me. Retail isn't for me. And I used a lot of the skills and translated back into just giving. So one thing, like I'm just wearing my other hat, is I'm the Chief Diversity Officer for Silicon Valley Pride. And I do that, outside of government hours, right? Outside of my work. But I was able to leverage a lot of the skills that I learned within an employee resource group and translate that into community service, giving back to the community, learning about the local community, and then learning about the disparities and what's missing. Because what I found missing here in the South Bay, and let's face it, I feel that like the Bay Area, we are grouped into this place of being inclusive and affirming of all identities because we're so close to San Francisco and Oakland. But there's something very unique in the South Bay where me, as a person of lived experience, I had to go all the way up to San Francisco for any kind of gender affirming care, right? That is a gap. And I was someone of privilege that has the transportation to be able to go there, but just thinking about like, okay, well, how does my lived experience help inform some of the things that need to change? So this is where I got involved. Luckily, I was asked by Supervisor Chavez to be part of a women's commission, the Women's Leadership Commission that was built several years ago. That's where I was connected to Julie. That's where I was connected to the Division of Equity and Social Justice. And I know a lot of people say it's like, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know, but there's just so many opportunities where you could, use your lived experience, your lived expertise, and what you bring to the table and get involved in government work. There's so many commissions out there. There's so many like events that are out there where you could just be one with communities. So I say it's important for someone to just, if you're all about the work when it comes to equity and social justice, then see how your talents, see how you could build that talent and actually inform the equity and the social justice, the policies, the programs, and the community that we need to create.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. The next question is going to be for Ricardo. What experiences do you look for in potential candidates?
Well, thank you for the question. When it comes to hiring somebody specifically for the language access unit, similar to Sarah, what Sarah just shared, is lived experience. Somebody who is able to relate to being somebody who may need document translation, interpretation services. Many of us who live here in Santa Clara County either came here when we were little kids, or we have our parents that are constantly in need of services. But there are so many barriers, and many of us had to act as interpreters when we were kids, just because they didn't offer information in Spanish or in any other language. So what I'm looking for particularly is those lived experience, in addition to ensuring that they're also proficient in English and in any other language, particularly those languages that are commonly spoken within the county. And again, those are Spanish, Vietnamese, Chinese, and Tagalog. In addition to that, we are a unit that works as a team. Everything we do, we collaborate with one another. The Spanish team collaborates with the Chinese team, the Vietnamese team, and Tagalog team, just to ensure that we are also adding that lens of cultural competency across all of the languages that we have. In addition to that, somebody who's outgoing, somebody who is able to connect and be a good match with the team.
Thank you so much for that answer. Our next question is for Julie. What strategies and approaches can an organization adopt for sustainable and systematic changes towards a truly DEI work culture beyond surface level activities?
Sure. Let me start by sharing a little bit of my personal experience here with the county. I started as an intern in 2012. And I have been here for a long time and continued to promote, became manager of the office where I interned, the Office of Women's Policy, and now I'm the manager, for, one of 3 managers for the Division of Equity and Social Justice. What my story tells you is that our county invests in its people and in its workforce, and job opportunities that are varied part-time and full-time and aimed at individuals who also have other familial responsibilities, for example, are included in their intentional way in which they seek to build their workforce. And I think that's an example for other organizations to follow as well. What are you doing to outreach to those individuals with to have family life balance, and how are you incorporating young professionals into your larger plan to build a diverse a diverse workforce? But creating an environment that is safe from harm, inclusive, and built on justice and equity is everyone's responsibility. The responsibility cannot just lie with one person or one department. That said, sometimes organizations have to also lean on outside experts like consultants with knowledge and skills and expertise to create a culture shift. And that's what we're talking about here. And culture shift is hard, and it takes a long time, and it begins at the top. So here at the County of Santa Clara, for example, our Board of Supervisors has made equity a top priority. And we have also the Division of Equity and Social Justice. So now we're practicing that too. So leaders from other organizations and agencies should ask themselves some critical questions that are hard. These questions help them recognize unconscious bias and its impact on their internal structures and processes. Questions like, what specific actions are being taken to ensure that all employees are getting promoted at equal rates? Am I reviewing the requirements for different job roles to ensure that education and background aren't unintentionally pushing certain populations away from applying? Am I frequently soliciting feedback from underrepresented employees? Have I done the data research to see what is my makeup of my workforce? And are you actually taking these facts and feedback into consideration to improve yourself as an organization? After that review and analysis and reflection, an actionable plan is needed. One that essentially puts equity at the forefront and prioritizes equity to by making it a company value. And one thing that I also like to point out is these efforts to support the most harmed and most marginalized employees will actually ultimately benefit everyone in the community. So it's not detracting from anyone, it's actually uplifting everyone. And other strategies that I can offer include mandated unconscious bias training, offering resources, and encouraging open dialogues to create understanding.
Thank you so much, Julie. Our next question is for Sarah. Will you conduct additional outreach after this event?
Yeah, I feel like there's never a day we're not outreaching. But there are two specific events that are happening. So Silicon Valley Pride, one of the outreach pieces that we're doing is very encouraging all departments and organizations just be involved. So County of Santa Clara sponsors the Silicon Valley Pride Parade and Festival. So one big piece of outreach is making sure that, folks and departments are well aware of it. And we want to be really in touch with those that advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace to spearhead those efforts, right? So this week we're doing an info session. Unfortunately, that's for internal folks only, but that's one piece of outreach that we have going on. But again, there's going to be an opportunity for our LGBTQ summit that's open up to service providers, community-based organizations, nonprofits, community members, as well as county departments and agencies. But as for additional outreach, what I love about working for this office is that as an office or as a division that's highly collaborative, we always share all the opportunities that are available. So Ricardo mentioned that there's a position opening up for language access as a Spanish interpreter, right? We have a communications department that allows us to create that social media so that we're not just outreaching to like your typical sites, right? Like the government job sites and Indeed and all those typical sites. Like, no. Again, what we want is folks of lived expertise experience to work at the division because they are closest to the social justice issues that folks of intersecting identities, all sorts, experience, right? So this is where we have that opportunity to also post to our social media. We also post to our newsletters. We also post to like LinkedIn. We're building up our LinkedIn. So that's another piece of outreach that we're looking to do. And the thing is that like, although the division might not be hiring right now at this very moment, what's very useful is to be able to just scan this QR code and just be in the know, because when those opportunities open up, y'all, you have a very limited time to be able to apply. And that's where I think it'd be super helpful to even just like turn in or submit a general application to be able to have all those nuances of the application processes answered, because like a lot of my colleagues, what we look for is very specialized, highly specific questions. In our last recruitment, we asked for folks that are experienced in sexual orientation, gender identity and expression, analysis, policy, education, training, and all those things. And it's very helpful to have all those easy answers when it comes to application process, answered already, so that when those, highly specialized positions are available for y'all to be able to just like answer those very specific questions. So we always make an active effort to outreach to our base, our audience, and beyond throughout all the offices that are within the Division of Equity and Social Justice. And we do that through the social media that we have, through working with the lovely folks at Employee Services Agency and providing an event like this to actually share some of the workplace experiences that we have and the positions that we have available. So even though there's not necessarily a position open up as of this second, it could open up as soon as next week, y'all. So it's very important for y'all to be able to kind of like just scan this code and be able to, be in the know, be in the loop. And one easy thing that you can also do is just follow us on our socials. Office of LGBTQ has a very cool social media, as well as the other Division of Equity and Social Justice offices.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Our next question is for Ricardo. This is a popular question we get. Are there options for telework?
Great question. And before I answer that question, I just want to add something else to what Sarah just mentioned, which is by scanning the code, you could also subscribe to those job postings that perhaps are not available now, but you will get a notification as soon as they're posted. So Sarah was talking about how we have such a short window for people to apply. But if you subscribe, you will get a notification the day that the posting is up live on our website. In addition to that, also many of the times when we have lived experience, some of these questions may ask you things that you're like, oh, I've never done in my life. But we encourage you to talk to a friend, to talk to someone else, and just tell them what you have worked on. Because many of the times we tend to not really highlight all of the work that we do as individuals. It's easier for us to highlight the work that somebody else is doing, but not our own work. So many of the times we may need that peer support to be able to answer those questions accordingly to based on your own experience. And when it comes to telework, we do offer up to 2 days of telework here at the County of Santa Clara. However, there is a probation period. If you're new to the county, you have to wait about 9 months in order for you to be eligible to qualify for telework. And if you're transferring within the county, it's about 6 months.
Thank you so much, Ricardo. Our next question is for Sarah. Could you provide an example of programs or initiatives that highlight intersectionality?
Yeah, I think this would be a love letter to the Language Access Unit and Ricardo's team. LGBTQ Summit 4 years prior, before the Language Access Unit, a lot of the presentations that we gave during the pandemic, it was virtual. We didn't have the ability to do live translation, nor do we have strong context for ASL interpretation. And what I love about working with Ricardo's team at the Language Access Unit is that ability to not only leverage the translation services, the interpretation services that they have readily available, but to do that in real time. And also ask those questions in regards to intersectionality and understanding that, the language, gender inclusive language, for example, pronouns like they and them, or even different LGBTQ identities, it might be difficult to, is there like gender neutral pronouns in Spanish or in Chinese or Tagalog? And this is a great way for us to really think about and not only leverage our subject matter expertise, but look to our county colleagues as well as the vendors that we work with. And if we're not working with them, that's a gap. And we have to look beyond our county to find those opportunities to just learn, what does gender inclusive language look like across all languages, not just English. And that I think is a good example of intersectionality. Our last summit focused so much on intersectionality. My most favorite speaker that we've had ever since we created these summits was talking about transformative justice and especially disability justice and some of the pitfalls and challenges that either the county's not doing, the institutions overall aren't doing, or we as community members and colleagues aren't doing to ensure that we are accepting and we embrace and we're affirming of folks of disabled experiences within our workplace. And this is where we have our Office of Disability Affairs, and our latest office that was just open to help inform on that kind of work. And with that office, it's always my expectation. Well, I'll speak on my office, right? We always go back to community and see, based on community experiences, what do we need to do better? And I feel that the Office of Disability Affairs would be that good conduit to just go back to community, solicit that kind of information, that feedback on their experiences, encountering county and seeing what we could do to get better, whether it's policy, whether it's education, whether it's just a overall experience when anyone visits, our 70 West office, our heading office, right? We just want to make sure that, when you are in our care, we are providing the best customer service that we can, and we are affirming of all experiences. And if you're that kind of person that wants to provide that high level of customer service and you want to learn and continue to grow when it comes to equity and social justice and using those skill sets, and we're looking for you, right? We want to be sure that the experiences that you come with and the expertise that you bring helps inform and really creates for transformative change within county, but also within the community that we seek to serve. So again, like they always say that diversity, equity, inclusion is never really a destination. It's more of like a journey. And we're looking for those qualified candidates that want to take that journey with us.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I'm going to go back to one question we had about talking about the outreach for our events. We did have someone in the chat ask, how can the community organization access that and other trainings?
Yeah, I'll answer this question first. When it comes to accessing our trainings, y'all, it's as simple as finding or following us on social media, or even subscribing to our newsletter. So when it comes to the trainings that are available for the public, you could easily just subscribe for our newsletter when they're available. You could also just look at our website. Like that kind of question gives me information. Is like, how come some of our trainings are not as visible as and easily found as we would like it to be? So again, we take that kind of information and see what we could do better to have those. One organization that I also highly recommend checking out is specific to LGBTQ. So it's the Q Corner out of our Behavioral Health Services Department. They offer up so many different kinds of trainings when it comes to behavioral health and mental health trainings that are available. A lot of it available to y'all, right? So being able to just know what the organizations are. So Office of LGBTQ Affairs, Division of Equity and Social Justice, the Q Corner, and there's just so many different types of organizations where like you could get connected to the trainings that are available. And if you don't know, or if you just want that more personal touch, send us an email. And it's as easy as that. Send us an email, ask us what trainings are available, and we'll connect you to like the whole breadth of trainings that are available for the county, both internally and externally. So to my county colleagues or to community members or anything like that, feel free to just connect with us and we'll be more than happy to share with you the trainings that are available.
Awesome, thank you so much. So our last question that we have before we wrap up is for Ricardo. Describe staff engagement and workplace culture at DESJ.
Sorry, making sure I'm off mute. Well, at DSJ, we believe in promoting community of workers who feel valued and understood. We strive to achieve this by creating a more inclusive and welcoming work environment where wellness, connection, and growth activities are independent in safe spaces. So in order for us to be able to achieve this goal, we have established a staff engagement committee, which they prioritize providing opportunities for all voices to be heard and represented in all the planned activities that we have. They use consensus making approach to making sure that every opinion is valued. Just to provide you with some examples, last week we had a social event to be able to connect with the rest of our neighbors within the suite. Also last year, we had the opportunity to do a Halloween contest. It was a costume contest. And then we also celebrated Dia de los Muertos, as well as we also acknowledged the holidays over the winter. So we tried to come up with new ways to engage our employees within the division that are organized planned and implemented and evaluated by our own staff that we have within the division.
Thank you so much, Ricardo. We're going to be wrapping up, and I want to thank you all for your insightful questions. We have covered a wide range of topics today, and we've learned so much about the department. So if you're wondering how to apply, let's talk about where to find openings and how to apply. So we talked a lot about our quick page here where you can find the link and the QR code. If you go to that link or scan the code, it will take you to the website that we've set up to tell you a little bit more about the Division of Equity and Social Justice, including some of the job titles we frequently recruit for in the division. If you see a position that interests you, you can subscribe to get email alerts so you can get notified the next time we are hiring. Next, I want to share a little bit about the County of Santa Clara's recruitment process and our timeline. If you're interested in applying for a job with us, here's how our application process works. First, when we post a job opening, it's usually available for 10 business days, sometimes longer. Take your time and make sure to submit your application before the deadline. Once the posting period ends, we dive into the application review phase, which can take about 1 to 3 weeks after the last day. We carefully go through all the applications and then reach out to those of you who make it to the next step. Next is the examination phase. It's where we assess candidates through different methods like in-person, online, written, oral, and amongst others. Oh, and don't worry, we'll always let you know a tentative date when the exam will be. If you pass the examination phase, we'll schedule you for an interview. Depending on that position, there might be a few rounds of interviews to find the perfect fit for the team. And here's the exciting part. If you're selected, you'll go through an onboarding process. That involves a background check and a new hire orientation. It usually takes about 2 to 4 weeks to get that all set up and get you ready to go. And we are so excited. We can't wait to see your application. Remember, all the details are in the job posting on our website. If you have any questions along the way, don't hesitate to reach out to us because we're here to help you. Next, I know you guys are all probably wondering about our benefits. The Santa Clara County, we offer a comprehensive benefit package for employees throughout their careers and beyond. This includes a transparent salary range, competitive health, dental, and vision benefits, the county's own insurance plan with no contribution required, giving you access to top healthcare providers like our very own Valley Health Plan, Stanford, Palo Alto Medical Foundation, to name a few. We have a generous vacation, 6 hours, and 14 paid holidays. Teleworking and flexible schedules, for that work-life balance, because we all could use that, right? And career growth and learning opportunities. Continuing benefits even after separation from the organization, including the CalPERS pension for a regular stream of income for life. And this is probably one of my most favorite parts is free health care coverage for those retiring with at least 15 years of service and at the age 50 or higher. So if you have 15 years of service and you are 50, you are eligible to have free health care coverage. And I think that in itself is just amazing. So as we conclude, I just want to thank our distinguished speakers, Sarah, Ricardo, and Julie, for sharing their valuable insights. We appreciate your participation and engagement. We encourage you to visit our website for more information on job opportunities and recruitment processes. Should you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to contact our team directly. We also want to thank you again and wish you success in your career endeavors and have a wonderful day. Thank you, everyone.